Hello and welcome to We Didn't Start the Fire. I'm Noelle.
And I'm Phoebe. Today, we will be discussing the fire and why it started.
Now let's turn it over to Phoebe with the cultural news.
Thanks, Noelle. Let's go back to around 1964 to 1989. These were the years, starting with the Wheel of Fortune.
Woo!
A popular TV game show that made the world go crazy. And who could forget Sally Ride, the first American woman in space aboard the Challenger. There was also the heavy metal and suicide debate. Heavy metal was introduced as a music genre, and some believed the lyrics were really harsh and led kids to take their lives. There were even lawsuits, most famously Ozzy Osbourne and Judas Priest. The 1980s, aka the start of the AIDS pandemic. For those just tuning in now, AIDS is a collection of symptoms and infections resulting from the specific damage to the immune system caused by HIV. God, that was the perfect lead-in for our next topic, crack cocaine. Crack, a more potent form of cocaine, became popular, especially in troubled neighborhoods. Be careful next time someone asks if you want a rock. They don't mean stone. Now the man on everyone's mind, Bernie Goetz. He shot 4 African Americans after they demanded $5 from him. And get this, he wasn't even convicted of murder, only possession of a firearm. One of the men he shot thankfully didn't die. He was only paralyzed and later sued for $43 million. Now let's look at the Jersey Shore, and I don't mean the show, the actual place. Strangely, back in the day, many hypodermic needles washed up on shore, causing panic across the city. Gosh golly, I am parched. I would love a nice Pepsi or Coke. This reminds me of the rock and roller cola wars, when Pepsi and Coke decided to act like Russia and America and fought to be the best soda company in all of the United States. They used celebrities and singers and a lot of other ploys to be the best. Well, I think that's all. Let's head on over to Noelle for some political news.
Thank you, Phoebe. Okay, let's start off with foreign debts. Foreign debts were causing an increase in inflation as well as a burden on American taxpayers. Since the mid-1980s, the United States has been growing deficient in tradable goods, especially with Asian nations, mainly in China and Japan, which now hold large sums of U.S. debt that has funded the consumption. The U.S. has a tradable surplus with nations such as Australia. The issue of trade defects can be complex. Trade defects generated in tradable goods such as manufactured goods or software may impact domestic employment to different degrees than trade defects in raw materials. Now on to homeless vets. Veterans of the Vietnam War, including many disabled ex-military, have been reportedly left homeless and impoverished.
How sad.
I know. Phoebe. A major problem with them has been drug addiction or alcoholism. Now on to China under martial law. In June 1989, thousands of protesters marched in Tiananmen Square in Beijing, China. Many were killed, and China underwent martial law until order was restored. On May 20th, they went under martial law in China, resulting in the use of military forces against protesting students to end the Tiananmen Square protesters. That's all I got for you, Phoebe.
Very interesting, Noelle. Way to put our damper on our news segment.
Now let's head on over to geography. We're going to start off with the Wheel of Fortune, which is located at the NBC studios in Burbank, California from 1975 to 1989. And the presenters were Pat Sajak and Vanna White. Moving on to Sally Ride, who worked for NASA. She was born in Los Angeles, California, and took off from the Challenger in Downey, California. Moving on to foreign debts, they obviously happened all over the U.S. because that's where the issue was coming from. And then the homeless vets were located all over the United States, but they came from Vietnam during the war. Then we're going to talk about where crack came from. So it was shipped to the U.S. and landed in Miami. Moving on to Bernie Goetz. The incident happened with him in New York City and involved him and 4 African Americans. Moving on to the hypodermics on the shore, that's located in New Jersey. Moving on to the rock and roller cola wars, we're going to go to the origin where Coke originated, which is in Atlanta, Georgia, and was created by John Pemberton's son. Heavy metal suicide. So the issues that a lot of people had with that when they sued Ozzy Osbourne and Jada Priest, and they were from the United Kingdom. Moving on to AIDS, it originated in Africa, and the early known case of AIDS was a human named Kinshasa.
And we're back.
We're having Phoebe over here be our fire tracker for today, so let's take it over there.
Thanks, Noelle. Billy Joel used all of these topics that we discussed in our news segment today to relate to the problems between the U.S. and the Soviet Union at the time. These all also greatly affect the growth of the U.S. as a nation. Many things made us closer together, such as the Wheel of Fortune.
Woo!
We also made advances in technology, such as Sally Ride up in space. There were also controversial and upsetting things that hurt us as a nation, such as the heavy metal suicide debate, AIDS, crack, and the Bernie Goetz scandal. Political things also greatly affected the government and all the people in the United States, such as foreign debts and the homeless veterans taking up our streets. All of these added to the fire.
Next week on We Didn't Start the Fire.